Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Before we get into it, I would ask if you'd just check to see that you're still actually subscribed. There's been some chicanery and duplicity, I suppose, from YouTube recently. Some people keep getting unsubscribed, so just do please check you're still subscribed. And if you've not subscribed, now's an excellent time to do so. We'll get into this video right now. The Deviant imp, Patrick Harvey, has always been pushing for heat pumps. And then there was a programme on Wednesday evening. I know it's a little bit late. I meant to do this one yesterday. It's one of those that escaped me. But there was a Wednesday evening debate night where this subject came up. And people in the audience were moaning about it and the panel were moaning about it. But of course, Patrick Harvey was nowhere to be seen. He refused to go on because he doesn't like being scrutinised by members of the public, because he knows that everything he says is utter rot. And that if he's questioned on it, he's going to look like a rather, hypocritical little shit, I think is the best term I can describe him as, which is not entirely away far from the truth, is it? He's a man who keeps pushing heat pumps on other people, although living in a flat, he hadn't got one himself and he won't be able to have one. And he says, well, it's not his fault. Yeah, and yet he wants everyone else to fork out a fortune just to please his own self-importance. It won't happen, of course. It just can't happen. They don't have the infrastructure. Most houses are unsuitable. Won't stop him moaning about it, though. Anyway, we're going to have a look at this where it's just basically been taken apart. Here goes. So, Patrick Harvey's heat pump push shattered as Scots could be left paying up to £30,000 for an upgrade. And this is what I've been saying all along. They've all been pushing, it's only £10,000, only £10,000, and you get £7,000. £7,500 grant, and it's all rubbish because, yes, the heat pump itself may be £10,000, but now when you look at it in the round, it's way, way more. And the running costs are horrendous. This is the other thing they never mention, is the running costs, because electricity is a lot more expensive than gas per unit, as an equivalent unit. Electricity is like twice the price. And so you've got this, you're paying twice the price to run it than you would be under gas. For most houses, it won't be sufficient to warm up the house. Certainly won't be enough to warm up the water to the sufficient required temperature to stop Legionnaire's disease. So it absolutely represents then an immediate massive health risk. And that alone will mean it's negated and can't happen. And on top of that, you have the fact that you then have to buy alternative heat sources as well, which then uses more electricity, most of which is still made by burning gas, so even worse for the environment than just putting a gas fire on. And of course, finally, the actual running costs in terms of maintenance, because where you get domestically you'll get a check every few years. If you're in a rental property, it's once a year, and that's just a check. But with these things, they actually don't run very well. They do need maintenance on a very regular basis. And the replacement costs are a lot. And of course, that's before you even have to rip out your existing, perfectly good, perfectly wonderful heating system and put in an entire new radiator and pipe system. And it's going to cost you £30,000 or more. Big house could be £50,000. So of course nobody wants it. It's a load of rubbish. But of course Patrick Harvey doesn't see all that. He doesn't care. He says tough. And of course, all that money, every single house having to pay, say, £30,000, that's going to decimate the economy, because that's all that money that isn't going out into the shops and bars and restaurants and buying a new car and doing up your house and buying some furniture and so forth. The entire economy is disastrously destroyed. And that, of course, is really what he's after. The heat pumps are just the delivery mechanism for poverty. And we need to get that straight. And that's why they'll never happen. And that's why little upright turds like him need to be booted out of government, filled with his own self-importance. Can you imagine how awful it must be every morning, waking up, washing your face, looking in the mirror, and you see Patrick Harvey looking back at you? That must be utterly depressing. A tiny little man filled with hate, living a joyless life, hated by everybody, ridiculed by everyone, and knowing that every idea you have is wrong. What a sad life. What a sad, sad life. A man who loves terrorists. A man who loves murderers of babies. What a sad little shit he truly is. Anyway, the Scottish Greens Minister wants all Scots to axe their gas boilers for no good reason and install expensive heat pumps that don't work. But this could cost struggling Scots up to £30,000 and was criticised on BBC's Scotland Night debate. We got there in the end. Patrick Harvie's push for the Scots to pay the upgrade their gas boilers to heat pumps, it's not an upgrade if it's worse, has been left shattered after it claimed that it could cost those living in the North East up to £30,000. The Scottish Government only offers grants of £7,500 towards these costs, as well as interest-free loans to cover the remainder of the price, and after that the running costs are up to you, even though the running costs are much, much higher than gas. The Deviant imp has been fronting the campaign to rid homes of fossil fuel heating systems, because nobody knows why. And the SNP executive position is that it costs around £10,000 to buy and install a heat pump. However, it's been alleged that those in Aberdeen and surrounding areas will be forced to pay up to £30,000. Not just Aberdeen, anywhere with a sufficiently old house will need to have a completely new heating system. Basically, if your house is more than about 25 to 30 years old, it's an entirely new heating system. But he doesn't want to tell you that because, make him look like a complete twat. Make your own mind up, folks. The topic featured on BBC Scotland's debate night in Aberdeen, where one angry audience member pointed out that these costs are just unaffordable at the moment. No, they're always going to be unaffordable. They'll always be unaffordable because the country cannot afford it. You can't do it. There's millions of houses at £30,000 a top. All that money out of the economy. That, of course, is what the point is. This is what I was saying. That's the point. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just a delivery mechanism for poverty and destruction and having a scorched earth so that he can sit there and have a complete wank over it, going, look what I've done. I say that. It's more that, isn't it? Tweeze us out, lads. Anyway, he said heat pumps... The cost was well outside on heat pumps. The cost was well outside what we can afford, and I was advised by experts that we were not trying to sell me a new system, that the benefits would be pretty small, and it would take decades to actually see significant improving in our cost of heating. Scottish Tory MSP Liam Kerr agreed with the sentiment, as he pointed out that a gas boiler costs between £2,000 and £4,000 compared to the £10,000 for a heat pump, and he pointed out there would also be extra costs to homeowners that would make the price skyrocket even further to £30,000. And of course, we've been pointing this out before. Older houses aren't as insulated, aren't as good, and basically are completely unsuitable for it. He said, but that's the loft. She said, but it's then the loft insulation in these houses in Aberdeen, granite houses, loft insulation. You've got your wall insulation. You're adding maybe 15 to 20,000 onto that. Now the answer to the question is, who's going to pay for this? I've asked this question to the Minister because the cost was estimated at $33 billion to decarbonise heating buildings. Now that's just homes. Never mind your factories and all that. And remember that gas use in Scotland is the same as in England. It's generally across the whole of the UK. 15% is heating homes. 85% is industry. This is going to do nothing for the amount of gas used. It's just ridiculously stupid. But then this is the trouble. When you get a deviant imp with the IQ of a banana trying to make policy and people actually respectfully listen to him instead of just ridiculing him and telling him to go and off because he's a moron. Anyway, the Scottish Government is putting £1.8 billion towards the £33 billion and is expecting everyone else to cough up the difference. Isn't ever going to happen, is it? Never, ever in a million years is this going to happen. Especially when you've got shitbag deviant imps who won't even have one on their own property because he thinks he's better than everyone else. What a complete tosser. Anyway, it's going to be very expensive, says Kerr. He says that it's going to be you who are paying for it. The Scottish Government has pledged that all residential homes must meet Band C and Energy Performance Certificate by 2023. With such requirements being enforced at certain trigger points, such as when houses are bought and sold, meaning houses with fossil fuel boilers can be banned from being sold. And that, of course, would mean you'd have children in insufficient houses, old people that can't sell their houses. No one can sell their houses. Do you know what happens in an economy when houses can't be bought and sold? Stagnates, dies. Well done. Destroying the housing market, destroying people's lives. You're going to have families of 5 and 6 people living in a house completely unsuitable because they're not allowed to sell it. Well done. How to destroy everything. Simple. Put Marxists in charge. Put fuck-witted Marxists in charge of an economy and watch it crash and burn. And that's what you've got. Can't sell your house. Hey, there's Granny. Huge house. Single person. Can't sell it. So a family with 6 people can't buy it. Why? Because Granny's got a little coal fire. These people are absolute morons. And they're dangerous. This is the thing. It's even worse than that. They're actually dangerous morons. The sooner they're voted out, the better. Better than voted out. March. You know, Ceausescu. That's what you need to do. Ceausescu. Anyway, the tiny little imp can go and do one. He's a little shitbag. I've shit more important things than him. Look at him. Nasty, vindictive turd. Anyway, coming up and rounding off. The Deviant imp. I mean, he's just a hate-filled, loathing bag of shite, right? He dresses like Albert Steptoe. He's got no charm. There's nothing about him that's in any way nice, friendly, or human. He's another sociopath, isn't he, really? But his plan is to completely destroy economies and make people miserable because he's lived a joyless little life. So why should everyone else, why should anyone else have any joy in their lives? He should really just go and do one, and it wouldn't surprise me if someone did him one day. Because I would if I saw him. He's a prick. But now all this, you can't sell your house if you've got a coal fire, you've got a gas fire, and you've got to fork out £30,000. Does anyone understand how economics works? Obviously not. Marxists, all of them. Morons, Marxists, and PD predators. That's what you've got in charge. That's who's running your country at the moment. I think, honestly, you need to go out there en masse, march up to Holyrood, do a Ceausescu, get them, fill all the street lamps, with some early Christmas decorations. It's the only way you're going to save Scotland, isn't it? Oh well, never mind. Time will come. I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do hope I've pleased you in my ranting at the little turd. And if I have, do please hit the subscribe button. There's plenty more rants at these people. I tell you, I can feel me danders up. I'm like a tiger when me danders up. I shall speak to you later. Bye-bye.